I'm going live like nuts on YouTube today. So you can always get all of our videos on tyt.com. So you'll be able to see that this one there as well after we're done going live. But this is mainly for YouTube and mainly for the live folks on right now. So we're gonna try and ask me anything. Um, Now you can ask me anything. I'm gonna be super real with you guys. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna answer anything. Okay. But the folks that I am most likely to take questions from, or almost exclusively, let's keep it real, is people who are Young Turks members on YouTube. You can be a Young Turks member by clicking the join button underneath. A lot of folks are already members, but you can become one during this Ask Me Anything and ask me a question. And of course, if you use YouTube Super Chat. Um, I will take the questions that make sense. If you got a good, legitimate, hard question, love it, no problem. We'll take it. And I will decide what the hard questions are and what the questions that I'm going to answer. Totally in my discretion. Okay, so this is my first time doing one on YouTube. So go ahead, give it a shot. And some of these fly by, so I'll do my best in trying to answer them when I can. And again, mainly for YouTube members and YouTube Super Chat. Okay, so for example, tyt.com/join gets you. Hold on, I got a question. Sports for Eva 115 is a Young Turks member and says, Cenk, what is your favorite pie? Now, that's the kind of hard-hitting questions that I love, okay? Scott Rogers just joined. I see you, Scott. Banana cream pie. Had it for my birthday the other day. I was self-sequestering. My nephew brought it in. Hickory burger with cheese and banana cream pie. Actually, I went nuts. It was my birthday. It was my 50th birthday, so I double pied. And none of you are surprised by that. Let's keep it real. I did pecan pie and banana cream pie, but banana cream pie is my favorite. And really, if it's not your favorite, there's something slightly wrong with you. Let's just be honest about it. It is what it is. And so, anyway, that's your first question. Thank you, Tara and Taylor, for saying happy birthday. I appreciate it. That was back in about a week ago. Ben Mankiewicz also just had his birthday. They were the two co-founders of the Young Turks, along with curmudgeon Dave Kohler. All right, Oscar Lazo's a TYT member. Take good care in the pandemic, Cenk. I appreciate it, Oscar. We're trying. We've been in the house. I've been outside the house like 2 times in the last 13 days or so. So we're trying the best we can. Now, if you guys don't remember or didn't see, I got a massive tooth infection, and right as the sequestering was beginning, and my jaw swelled up, and I was worried it was going to get in my blood, which would have been good night, Irene. Perry Benson, thank you for becoming a Young Turks member. And so that took like 4 or 5 days to get past, and that knocked me out. I don't even mind, pain that much. I have a high tolerance for pain, but tooth pain ain't nothing like that, and especially in an infection. So Scott Rogers, who's a member, asked, should I also join a Young Turks membership on the website for extra benefits? Well, look, let me just explain that real quick. So, and by the way, I had a fever, meteor dreams. What are your thoughts on Tulsi endorsing Biden? Guys, I'm going to try to answer the questions. I know they're going to come quicker. I'm going to miss a whole bunch of them. I'll put that one in the queue, and I want to try to remember it. Okay, so if I got a fever because of the infection, and so that's why I didn't go out for so long. So man, I got hit with a double whammy right around that time. New York for Life 12, Obama presidency, take on it. All right, let me try to remember all these. So let me do it one by one. Young Turks membership gets you all of our videos, gets you everything that you can get in membership. There's several different layers to it, but the basic level gets you all the videos anyway. The others have other slight advantages as well, but that's tyt.com/join. And then we read all the member comments, the Young Turks member comments. Austin R., thank you for joining. Young Turks member comments during our live shows at 6 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. They get priority and they really become, the members become part of our show because we read their comments so often. So people like even know some of them, like Gabby Marita, because I read her comments so often. Scott Rogers, thanks for being a member. Okay, so on to Tulsi. Tulsi endorsing Biden makes no sense at all. Andrew Yang endorsing Biden makes no sense at all. So they're like, oh, he's going to win. So what? You should endorse based on who you think is the best candidate, based on policies, etc. Not based on, hey, I'm now doing a political calculation where I think that guy's going to win and I'd like to be in his cabinet or I'd like some favors, etc. If you say it's too late for Bernie, I'm not sure I agree, but I get it. I'm on the border of agreeing, and my job is to keep it real with you guys and give you honest commentary. And so Benjamin GL is thinking of running for in Florida's 27th district. Do you have any advice? Yes, hold. I'll get to that in a second. But in terms of Tulsi and those folks endorsing Biden before it's over, once it's over, sure. I mean, at that point, endorsement doesn't really mean anything. But endorsing at this point is so pointless, so pointless. In fact, if I was them, and this is advice I gave to all of them, Elizabeth Warren and whatever other candidates who were left, or even not left, that especially after Bernie lost on Super Tuesday, that was the perfect time to endorse him. Oh, well, he might not be president, right? But he shows principle if you endorse him then. He still had a good chance, not a great chance, but he still had a good chance after Super Tuesday. And to show principle then would have meant a lot and would have earned you our loyalty, right? My loyalty, your loyalty would have meant and would have earned you our respect. Hound Dog, great question. I'll get to it in a second. But instead, when you endorse Biden, all you're doing is trying to please the establishment. And if you're Tulsi Gabbard, you're never going to please them anyway. That makes even less sense than Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang, Justin Chapman, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Andrew Yang, they find to be kind of a novelty. They didn't take him seriously, but they're like, oh, okay, good, pat on the back or head or whatever, and now we can make you a small, irrelevant part of the establishment. So that's a whole nother conversation about Andrew. Okay, as quickly as I can on the ones that I can remember now, the Obama presidency. I said it at the end of his presidency. I stick by it today. He was a good president, not a great president. He was a good manager, a steward of the economy, steward of the government, a good bureaucrat, efficient, etc. But in terms of leadership, at a time that he could have shown great leadership after the 2008 crash, sorry, he just didn't. So that's a time when he could have taken the country in the direction of bold change, and the country was hungry for that change and would have accepted that change. Instead, he got convinced by the Rahm Emanuels of the world that only pocket change was possible. I don't know if that's what he believed all along. I don't know if he got convinced of it later, but it didn't matter. Just give you one example that matches up with today, and then I'll transition to other stuff. He asked for a stimulus bill, and they said progressives said he should have gone for a couple of $1 trillion in that stimulus bill, but he was convinced by Sonia, by the way, thank you for using a Cenk emoji along with the badge, convinced by the conservative Democrats like Rahm Emanuel and the Republicans that no, you can't get that passed. The Republicans will yell at you. So I think this stimulus bill was $700 billion back in the day. Okay. Now, when the Republicans do it, they're like, oh, $2 trillion plus 4.25 trillion in the Fed. And the Democrats say yes, the Republicans say yes. When the Republicans want to do something, they do it immediately, and there are no bounds. Obama was far too agreeable with them and did not fight back nearly as much as he needed to. I know I got to save the Cuomo Biden question, but I got a couple of important YouTube super chat questions here that I want to take before I lose them. Hiram Bifidum writes in, I really wish Bernie Sanders would stop apologizing for the things he didn't do or say, and Anna Kasparian would stop saying she's not a mommy. It would make her son Charlie, the rescued doggy, cry. Okay, I'm sure that she would agree with that. She loves Charlie more than any person should love any other living entity, but she does. Andrew Smythe, thank you for upgrading your membership to activist level. I really appreciate it. But to your main question about Bernie, I couldn't agree more. He should have never apologized for Zephyr Teachout calling Biden corrupt. She was correct. She was factual, and that attitude does not help. The establishment gave him no credit for it. It made it seem like his side is the unruly ruffians, barbarians, etc. It reinforced that terrible framing. You should actually stand up for your side. Like Bernie's just the reality is he's way too nice. That's what part of what people love about him, that he's this lovable grandfather guy. Although if you watch the mainstream media, you'd think he was like evil and terrible guy, etc. But they're on a different planet. They believe in alternative facts. For the rest of us, we love that Bernie's going to be who he is, as Jay says, and he's nice, etc. But you do need someone to fight back, and I wish that he'd have done that more effectively. All right. Madat 012 writes in, if Medicare for All is passed, would it make sense to more extensively penalize bad habits like smoking and more harmful drugs, because treating it would impact public money? I appreciate you use YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate the question. It's a thoughtful question. I wouldn't. And the reason is, I think society is way too judgmental as it is. So I never agreed with Bloomberg's soda tax, and it's all these things and I get that there are bounds of reason, right? I know that your life insurance is gonna cost more and should cost more if you smoke, but at the same time, we get into managing each other's lives. Are you a smoker? Where do you smoke? Do you smoke inside, outside? Okay, well, obesity is a real problem too. So do you eat too many snowballs? Is that a thing? I think it's a thing. Do you eat too many Doritos? You eat too many banana cream pies? I don't know where I got that example from. And okay, but you ate it for lunch, but you ate it for dinner, but your metabolism is different. Get out of my life! Get out of my life! Like conservatives say that liberals want to control everybody's lives. It's not remotely true. I don't want anything to do with your life. I just want to try to make it better and then move on with my life. So that's my take on it. Okay, Reggie Byron asks, what progressive is Biden most likely to give a cabinet position to if he wins? Well, look, I know a lot of people are not thrilled with Elizabeth Warren these days because, as I was talking about earlier, I think she should have endorsed Bernie. Certainly after Super Tuesday when she dropped out, she should have immediately endorsed Bernie. I've been very clear about that from day one. But is she still a progressive? Yes. I mean, she did a great job in pushing the coronavirus bill in a more progressive direction, protecting workers more, etc. Kim, Benjamin, thank you guys for asking YouTube Super Chat questions or comments. Clab Keto Boot Fever says Yang only endorsed Biden because he was winning. I know, I get that. Still not a great reason for the reasons that I explained earlier. But anyway, I gotta stop doing all of these questions at the same time because I'm losing track of all the questions that you guys are asking. But all right, let me move on. I say I lost that last one that I was answering. Okay, but let me move on to the Annalise. Hey, Annalise, how you doing? Asked, do you think Tulsi or any of these other folks will retract their endorsement of Biden? No, I don't think anybody's going to withdraw their endorsement of Biden. Okay. Dave Piggott writes in with a £5 on YouTube Super Chat. I appreciate it. Said in Britain, they advise you, NHS advises you against smoking, but doesn't penalize you if you do. I think that's the exact right approach. Bunda713 asks, why do people think Biden is going to struggle against Trump in debates? People do not remember what he did to Paul Ryan. He humiliated him. No, Bunda, that's not why we're worried. I think Biden historically has been pretty good in debates. We're worried that these days he's a little slower. And I wish he wasn't. I hope he's not. But we have seen that with our own eyes. So that's why we're worried about him in the debates. He's apparently worried about it too, because when they asked him if he wanted to debate Bernie again, or will there be more debates in this election because it's still ongoing, he was like, no. He didn't want any piece of another debate with Bernie, and I get why. What in the world was that Biden question? I think it might have been to do with the the media coverage or lack of coverage on the Tara Reid story. If you're asking why the media is not covering it, I'm asking the same exact thing, and it's so hard to tell. Um, and the most obvious answer is they have an establishment bias, and so if Bernie Sanders was accused of that kind of sexual assault, they would all have it as front headline news. It would go above the coronavirus story. Everybody knows it, and no question about it. And Abby, the spoon lady, says I was following mostly Trumpers. It hurts. You're gonna be all right, Abby. We're here for you. Hound Dog, thank you for being a member. Anyway, but when it's an establishment Democrat, and by the way, they would have run it if it was Trump. They would have run it if it was Republicans. But when it's an establishment Democrat, they are very, very, very reluctant. So I don't know if they're ever going to cover it. I put pressure on them to cover it, but they don't usually respond to pressure for me from time to time. But I don't know if you know this. They don't love me. All right. Everett Lewis says, I got 2 monitors, you on one and your nephew on the other. It's a family reunion. Love you, Cenk, and long live TYT. Thank you, Everett. Long live Everett Lewis. It's funny, Haas is probably on Twitch. Not probably, definitely on Twitch. Check him out there as well. He has a live show where he goes live for like approximately 16 hours a day. Karen Cullen says, now that everyone can see what a superior leader Bernie is, do you think he has any chance at all to win? It kind of depends on wild cards, coronavirus, Tara Reid, etc. It's hard to tell if he's going to have a chance to win. But yes, he's still on the board. He is right not to withdraw because he is at least showing what a progressive would do in the age of coronavirus, which is actually treating people. And now all of a sudden everybody agrees with Bernie. Everybody agrees that Medicare for all is the right approach when it comes to the coronavirus. Everybody agrees that socialism is the right approach when it comes to coronavirus. But they're like, if your life is in danger for any other reason, sorry, we don't care, and we're not going to do anything about it. Okay? So it's outrageous, the hypocrisy, and at least Bernie's pointing that out by staying in the race. Okay? Let's go to Debosa Fleisch. The Bernie campaign should hire Richard, how dare she, Ojeda. Well, Ojeda is actually running for Senate in West Virginia. He's in a really interesting primary with Paula Jean Swearengin. I'm trying to stay neutral there because they're both friends of mine, colleagues of mine. They're both good folks. They have totally different styles and some slightly different policies. I don't know if they'll agree to a debate that we do on TYT. That would be interesting. And it would be, but they're both good choices. And so you don't usually get 2 good choices in a primary, but you got them in West Virginia. Look into both of them, please. Okay. But yes, you're right, by the way, though. He does need a Richard Ojeda type of enforcer, and he needs to let him actually do his job and not rein in his own advocates at anytime they make a good, constructive critique of Biden. Zach Curtis says, fun question. I noticed Cenk not in makeup. Does someone normally do it for you? Okay, that is a fun question, Zach. No. Oh, that Hound Dog. Yes, thank you. Cuomo for Biden was your question. I'm going to get to that in a sec. When we're in the studio, I do it myself, and it's just it's hilarious because it's makeup that is brown makeup that looks like my skin color. So what's the point? Right? The point is to reduce the shine because my forehead, like right now it's okay, but under the lights of the studio, it shines like crazy, and it does. So you have to just put on stuff so you don't shine. That's all. And I don't have it at home, so that's why you're seeing me as you are now, which is barely acceptable. It was barely acceptable with the makeup, but anyway, it is what it is. Okay, let's go to the next one. Shadow Duck says, I hope everyone at TYT will stay safe and gets through this alive. Love from Germany. Oh, guten Tag, Shadow Duck. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Sehr gut. Why am I struggling with thank you in German? I took like 5 years of German. Total waste. I don't remember any of it. I don't want to say Auf Wiedersehen yet. Danke. Danke for your contribution there. Benjamin GL says, I'll repeat my question in case you can't see, and I don't have a problem supporting you guys. I plan on running for Congress, and that's what it was, Benjamin. Thank you. In Florida's 27th district. Okay. So, and Benjamin, thank you for supporting us too. Look, this is the longest answer, so I have to condense it. But we've talked about this in the post games. So if you're a member, whether it's a YouTube member, which you could do by clicking join, that's the $4.99 level, gets you all the post games, all the extra coverage. $9.99 gets you all of our videos and all of our shows. Anyway, but if you're a member through tyt.com/join, you could rewatch those old post games as well. Bottom line is, you got to build up your name recognition. If you just run out of the thin blue sky, it is very, very hard, Benjamin. So I love encouraging people, and obviously there are awesome upsets like AOC, but Ayanna Pressley was totally different. She ran and was in the state legislature. She built up her name recognition throughout all those years of being on the ballot in her district, and so it's a different way that she did it. The more standard way to do it. I would encourage you, if I'm being honest with you, which I am, and that's my whole point, of course, is that to run for lower level office first, because that has less people in that you represent. Vera, thank you for becoming a TYT member. And so volunteers, working hard, talking to voters works a lot better when your area is smaller. I know a lot of progressives who have won races for city council, state rep, etc., because their area is much more manageable, and then your volunteers, your effort is better rewarded, and then people get used to seeing your name both on the ballot and in the news, and then you work your way up. Like when I ran, it was way too hard. It was only 3 months. There's no way to get the name recognition up in 3 months. I was running against an assembly member who everybody had already voted for several times, certainly on the Democratic side. That made it way, way, way harder. I'm lucky I have a pretty decent name recognition throughout the country, but let's say it's about 25% in any district knows me, but only 5% are diehard Young Turks fans. And so I can get 5% in any district, okay? But once you get past that, people just don't know you. The 75% of folks don't know you. And that's me. I got to show it, everything, right? For you, it's going to be much, much harder. I'm not discouraging you at all. I'm encouraging you. I want you to do it. But if you do, make sure you're in it for the long haul, because the longer you run, the more name recognition you'll build up and the better chance you'll have of winning. Ada, I just saw that you joined a membership. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, that's funny. Nelson then asks, Cenk campaign does outreach work? Does knocking on doors and making calls matter? Bloomberg did well with just advertisements. Well, Nelson, look, I'd love to give you the encouragement that it does work, but the reality is it depends on the race. Fred, Taylor, Alexandra, thank you for joining, guys, and becoming members. So in a close race, it makes all the difference. It can move it 1 to 3 points, and your volunteers will either get you the victory or not based on volunteers. Giant difference, okay? But if it's not a close race, you can't close a 10, 20-point gap with just volunteers. Keeping it real, that's just true. It just is, okay? So the thing to do is to build up the name recognition. And yes, progressives have a challenge because the mainstream media is #1 way to build up name recognition. And yes, they generally either dismiss us, consider us illegitimate, not credible, just because we're not right wingers. And it's a huge hurdle for us. We can get past that hurdle, but you got to be in it for the long run. Mada 012 asks, I have not read the Bernie free college tuition bill, but I want to understand what criteria would it have for a specific major to qualify. How do you determine degrees worth public funding? It's not based on degrees at all. It's just for state colleges and community colleges. You can get any degree you want. They're not there to judge whether it's worth it or not. You can't go to Harvard or Yale or whatever from it. Those are private schools. These are just for public state colleges. And it just gives you equality of opportunity. That's how my dad, who got a free college education in Turkey, got out of a super hard, very poor farming life in southeastern Turkey. So college for all is absolutely essential. Thank you for asking. Vera Nadine Boyne, thank you for becoming a member. Ada Naomi, thank you for becoming a member. Now I want to go back to that Cuomo Biden question. Thank you for reminding me of it. So, is the establishment going to try to replace Biden with Andrew Cuomo? Later, if and when they do it, they'll say like, "Oh, well, nobody thought of that before, and it just kind of happened, and it was so organic." I mean, and you can come back to this video, and Dan Woods, thank you for being a member, and show them. No, we were. Not only was I talking about it, you guys knew about it. Okay, like folks online, we all knew about it. We know that that's a possibility. Doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen. No, of course not, right? But would they love it? Absolutely. They're worried about Biden, like we're worried about Biden, and the media's bias is overwhelming, unbelievable, amazing, right? So they uh, Cuomo and De Blasio, you see it with your own eyes, come out, say almost the same exact thing in their press conferences, and the media that hates progressives goes, De Blasio joke, ridiculous. Cuomo says the same thing afterwards. They're like, brilliant, brilliant, should be president. That's what a leader looks like. That's the kind of brilliant leadership we need. Andrew, God bless beloved Andrew Cuomo. So at the convention, is it possible that they'll try to replace Biden with Cuomo? Yes, it's definitely possible. Even my wife, who doesn't pay attention to politics, this morning asked me, "Hey, are they going to try to get that New York Governor Cuomo guy to replace Biden?" I'm like, "How the hell did you know that?" Because it's so obvious for anyone paying attention that that's a possibility. Okay, Randy Gregg, thank you for becoming a member. All right, let me read out a couple more of these questions. Taylor Alexandra, thank you for becoming a member. All right, here we go. Dan Woods, I already shouted you out, but I appreciate it. There's so many questions. All right, let's just do a couple last ones and then we'll wrap up. Lisa Cisneros, can you start videos with the fact that young people voted for Bernie by 70%? All they have to do is vote in huge numbers in the remaining states and they can save the country. Lisa, thank you for asking the question. Thank you for making that point. But honestly, it doesn't quite work that way. So you're very right that that's the situation that happened. And Randy Gregg, thanks for being a member. So the dynamic was above 45 years old voted for Biden at 70%, under 45 voted for Bernie at 70%. But no matter how much you tell young people to go vote, there's just certain dynamics that one person can't change. It's got to be a cultural shift. I'm doing as much as I possibly can to move that cultural shift along. Corliss Randall, thank you for becoming a member. The join button's right underneath the video, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube. But the reality is, the good news is we have the future, because those under 45-year-olds are obviously going to be the majority soon, and they are massively progressive. I mean, how many times have I said that on the show? I've said it 1,000 times that young people are about 80% progressive. If you chop off like 35 to 45-year-olds, it is about 80%. And now we're all the way up to 45-year-olds being 70% progressive, certainly within the Democratic Party, but overall as well. So look, that's great news for the future. But right now, I wish there was a force on earth that can get young people to vote at the levels of old people, but there just isn't. Believe me, I tried in my own election. It is super, super, super hard. Anyway, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. We will, and we'll do the best we can. Okay, last two here, really. Motto 12 writes in again. My point was, how do we know that the state college is funding a program that will offer job opportunities? Like, people could be tricked to go to a major because it's free, but doesn't provide them with a living wage. I hear you, but we got to leave that up to individuals to make those decisions. So we can't say, hey, you can't be a philosophy major because that's not going to get you a living wage. Now, once they go to a state college, they're all super legitimate, and some of them are the best schools in the country. Once they go to that, it is what it is, and you got to let them have their freedom and study business if they want to, philosophy, sociology, whatever they want. But I appreciate and love your concern for it, and let's make sure we get the program right. All right, last one looks like it's going to be a fun one. Lou Richardson says, I sent you guys an email and a physical package of UFO information about 2 years ago. I'm wondering if you ever saw it. I never gave UFOs a thought until I saw your video covering the UFO program. So Lou, I have to be honest, I didn't. We get a lot of packages and they don't all necessarily come to me. And so in terms of the UFOs, this is a good one to end on. It's nice and metaphysical. Right. If you think about how minusculely small Earth is, it, Stanley Spencer, thank you for being a member, and thank you for saying we need more TYT gear. ShopTYT.com for your latest gear. I think we're going to do a quarantined one with TYT in the middle. This one is from the old campaign for where we raised money for the studio. Anyway, so is there life on other planets? Almost certainly. So what form that life takes, no one knows. Can they do space travel? No one knows, right? It would be it's nearly statistically impossible for there not to be life on other planets. And so, but we have no idea what it is, or if they can get here, or we can get there, etc. So what the military is showing in the aircraft that our pilots are seeing, and for the first time revealing, traveling in ways that don't seem physically possible to us. It's fascinating, but that's all. I don't have any further information than that on it. I don't know if they're already here, right? But don't get into conspiracy theories, but don't go to extremes on either side. Like, oh, the aliens are obviously here and they're in the form of humans. Okay, not true. There's 0% evidence for that. On the other hand, if somebody says to you, oh, of course, they'll be ridiculous. There is no life in the universe but us. Really? What a weird, like, self-centered way of thinking. Yeah, I know. God created us and we're so special and important. And the whole universe revolves around us. Okay. Spoiler alert. None of that is true. We're not that special or important. We're funny little furry animals on a funny little planet. That's all. I can't stop. You guys are so cool. Corliss Randall, I think I already thank you for being a member. And Mahmoud Merhadi just says you're the best. No, Mahmoud, you're the best. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you guys participating. Appreciate all the questions. Thank you for being members. Thank you for using YouTube Super Chat. And if you're not a member yet, now that we got the self-quarantine here, I will apparently do these AMAs when I have time and more often. So hit the join button underneath. The AMAs are one part of YouTube membership that you get with that you don't get in any of the other things that we offer. And $1.99 gets you the emojis and badges, so I know who you are whenever we're doing these live videos. $4.99 gets you all of the extra post games, etc. $9.99 gets you all of our shows and all of our videos. Thank you guys, and don't forget, please, tyt.com/go to keep us in business in these hard times. We absolutely need it. The Eternal Dreamers, thank you for being a member, and thank you for using our emojis. And Nicole, same. You threw in all the emojis. The emojis in our case, if you're a Young Turks member on YouTube, is our heads. So it's kind of funny. You could see Jar Lexico just used my head as an emoji. Dan Cooper, thank you for subscribing. And you could use an Anna one for different reasons. If you want to be salty, maybe you use an Anna one. There's a JR one, a John one. Rob Funk's got 3 of me. I don't know what that means. I know Haas on his Twitch channel also uses emojis of me, but those are not sanctioned, okay? Oh, even the iguana one. All right, that's awesome. All right, anyway, guys, love you. Have a great Saturday and stay safe.